Welcome to the Soccerwhos podcast. My name is Lockie, and it's a pleasure to have you here. To my right sits
James Jarvis.
fantastic. And this show, if you've never seen or heard of this before, we're a show that's all about the future of Australian football. We would love to see the Socceroos win a World Cup one day. It's our hope that in listening to this show, you will have learnt about the Socceroos, whether it's going in depth about the current Socceroos or the fringe Socceroos, or maybe even the future Socceroos as well. And so it is 123 days, James.
Wow.
Until Australia plays its first fixture in the 2026 World Cup. And it's our hope that we would see a World Cup win even this year. Do you think it's going to happen?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We'll win a game.
Great. Yeah, I like your optimism that we'll win a game. I don't think we're winning a World Cup this year, but we've made the promise that we're going to do an episode of this show every year until we win a World Cup.
There we go.
Or until one of us dies.
Well, that couldn't happen. So
No, exactly. Before we get into this, I guess we've got plenty to cover on today's show. I've looked at the run sheet. We have like 30 players that we could cover going around the grounds. People have been playing well within the past week. We're probably not going to get to all of them. Plus, we've sat down before this episode and we've looked at, I guess, our shortlist, like a 44-player shortlist, if you will. Because if you don't know, if you're not familiar, Tony Popovich, before he submits the World Cup squad, has to submit a 50-person shortlist. So we've done our own kind of 44-person shortlist, essentially 4 starting 11s worth. And we'll unpack that a little bit later on in the episode. And you can hear who we think is, I guess, on the cusp of being in Tony Popovich's squad and who we think should be, I guess, in that squad as well. And then there's also a number of injuries that we need to take into account. So we'll check out who's injured at the moment and who actually probably won't recover in time for the World Cup. But let's get right into this.
Let's do it.
Now, James, as we go around the grounds, I am looking at this run sheet, and I must admit, I don't fully understand the way in which you formatted this, because usually we like to go from country to country, maybe positionally.
We could go from country to country, because these are listed by country.
Okay.
Specifically, the first letter of the country they are based in.
Righto. Well, I'd like to at least start off with a headline. You kind of hook people in.
Oh, okay.
The headline this
So it's
morning,
son of a Socceroo.
Well, that's a good headline. I was actually thinking more so this morning, time of recording.
Ooh.
Rylan McGree got a goal and an assist. It was quite a good game to watch. 2-1 win over Sheffield United. And it was a poacher's finish with a gorgeous nutmeg assist as well, which is great to see. He's currently playing in the Championship. They're pushing for promotion, which is great. We could see Rylan McGree as a Premier League player next season. And great for him to be building form heading into this World Cup kind of window, especially with this March international window around the corner.
Yeah, and he played as a true left winger as well, which is really important to note because obviously in the national setup, we play with 2 wingers and Rylan McGree on the left wing with his left foot. He still came inside, but he was more so picking the ball out wide and driving it centrally.
Interesting.
Which could work in the Popovich setup. And I think Rylan McGree showed this game why he is Premier League quality, and the only thing holding him back is health because he dominated this game. He was the best player on the park, and it wasn't close. And when you're an attacking player and you have a 92% pass completion, that is sheer and utter domination, really. He was the best player on the pitch, wasn't really close, and in fact, it carried on some good form. Because for Rylan McGree, it was the second game since we last recorded. And in the game just beforehand, he got an assist as well against Norwich City, assisting the only goal for his Middlesbrough side.
There you go. That's great to see. It's interesting, Popovich's system. You kind of just alluded to how he might play in that system. Sometimes Popovich kind of uses 2 inside forwards, you might call them. You might call them attacking midfielders, left and right attacking midfield. Sometimes he rolls out what is quite a defensive 5-4-1 with more traditional left and right midfielders whose job is really to get up and get inside anyway. Formations, it's funny, football tacticos, it's kind of fluid. It's no longer just you just have one static formation. Do you think that he would operate in that sort of more defensive, sitting wide and then coming narrow? Is that how you see him playing?
He could be very versatile, McGree. He can play as a true 10, which Popovich likes to do with his 2 narrow inside forwards in what I guess you would call his 3-4-2-1 shape. Like you said, positions don't really exist. It's just roles now.
Mm.
So he can play in that inside forward role very well, specifically on the right-hand side, I'd play him in that one. But if you wanted to play the 5-4-1, the more defensive shape, traditionally, he can play in that left mid, pick it up and carry it up the pitch.
Yeah, okay.
But you obviously then get fouled a lot. And for a player like Riley McGree, he welcomes those fouls because of just how good he is. But his body doesn't seem to like them very much.
Yeah, that's the flip side, I guess, is that he gets fouled a lot, but then it means that it leads to him being injured and left out. And that's not something we want.
No, it's not.
Hey, you mentioned Norwich just before. We have had one of our very own go to Norwich City, score a goal on debut against Lewis Miller's Blackburn Rovers. I'm talking about Toure. He got a goal. It was the goal that sealed the victory in a 2-0 win. And great for Mo Toure to once again move to a side and make an instant impact.
Yeah, it was an instant impact. And he was very fluid in the way he moved as well to get the opportunities he did. And Mo Toure, I think, will really enjoy playing in the championship, which is a lot more of a physical league, up and down football, a lot higher pace than in Denmark. So it will suit him in many ways. And I wonder how he will go in many ways in terms of his fitness levels. Because he has shown that he can play a string of games, but he has had a couple of niggly injuries previously. So how will he go staying in the park? I'm not sure, but definitely one to watch because I think he probably is the starting striker right now for Popovic. I don't see him starting Duke or Sapsford, which are, in my mind, the only two players competing for his spot.
Yeah, I mean, there aren't lots of that top tier striking option, I don't think, at least.
Yeah.
We'll jump into it a little bit later on in this episode, but as far as clear-cut strikers that you know can take the game by the scruff of the neck, is that the collar? The scruff of the collar? Is that the
Scruff
term?
of the neck sound about right?
You know that they can just...
It's like a dog term, right? The scruff of the neck of the dog.
I think so.
Yeah.
Someone correct me, I'm sure. He is one of those players that kind of can do that, can create a goal out of nothing. I'm not really sure how many other options we have that can do that consistently at a high enough level. There are some that exist, I know, but it just feels like striker is one of those positions where we've got a couple of options. 3 that I can think of off the top of my head, Duke, Toure, and probably Sapsford as well.
Yeah, they're the clear 3.
Yeah, and then outside of that, I'm yet to see consistency at a high enough level to warrant starting striker position for the Soccerwhos.
I think there are a few in the championship that could get there if they have a really good run of games. Waddingham's been out injured.
Yep.
But he's due to come back very soon. Another one is Daniel Benny, who I think has been very solid over this last month. 6 games in a row he's gotten minutes, including 2 starts. One of those, in fact, was a full 90.
Okay.
So, which is a big one for Daniel Benny, who has struggled for minutes. There was words throughout January that maybe a loan was on the cards.
Okay, yep.
But didn't eventuate. Still with the club unless he's coming back to Australia, which I think is very unlikely, because he's found himself somewhat important minutes-wise for QPR. Hasn't got any goal involvements yet, but has been decent. And it's good for his development. I do think a loan move next year will be important unless he makes a massive stride over the off-season, because he just isn't consistent enough.
Yeah, okay. Maintaining our, I guess, place in England. Cameron Burgess has had a phenomenal run of form at the moment. Swansea making a run for the playoffs, but he'll be crucial for Australia at the World Cup. He's been fantastic for Swansea, and when he puts on the Socceroos jersey, he's generally one of our best as well.
Yeah, a massive part of why Swansea have been able to turn their season around a little bit. They were struggling for a period, and that coincided with Burgess' struggles as well. And that'll be very similar for Australia, I think. If Burgess is playing very well, Australia will do very well. If Burgess is struggling, I think Australia will struggle a bit. So definitely one to watch, form-wise, going to the World Cup, because he is a key player.
Absolutely. Slightly further down the English pyramid, we've got 2 Aussie goalkeepers who are battling it out. One who's in League One, one who's in League Two. Joe Gauci, he's regained his starting spot. A strong end to the season is going to be really important for him because he is vying for that third choice goalkeeper spot, I think.
Oh, most definitely. I think he is probably slightly leading the way based on prior Australian performances and previous form, especially when he was in Australia. But still finding his feet in England, and good to see his name back on the team sheet and back starting for his loan side, Port Vale, because he needs the minutes to develop. People forget just how young he is, only 25. And for a goalkeeper, that's like a 19 for an outfield player.
Absolutely.
So a different stage of his development arc, one for the future still, even though we've seen him for a few years now in Australian circles. But he's finding some good form. The game against Burton Albion, I think, was a good middle ground for what to expect
Yep.
for him at League One. But ups and downs, but as long as he limits the downs, that will be his true development cycle that he is aiming for. I think starting in the Asian Cup is probably Gauchi's goal. I don't think the World Cup he will be starting with how good Matty Ryan's been. But next World Cup cycle, Gauchi will want to make himself the number one. But yeah, he's got a couple of competitors like Jacob Chapman, who you alluded to.
Absolutely. He's been loaned to Crawley, who are in League Two at the moment. Probably far too good for the level, right?
Yeah, he went on loan to Crawley and started straight away. 4 starts in a row, dominated every single game. Hasn't really looked all that challenged. We had one Jacob Chapman where in League One he was up and down. He let in some shots that he should have saved. Didn't quite reach the heights you would have wanted him to, but he always showed glimpses. And then he steps down a level and he's just way too good for the level. So he's very much in between the two levels right now.
You're saying he should play in League 1.5.
Exactly, yes. They should split the league in half. Half promotion group, half relegation group, and they just play a second half of the season together.
Just for Chapman's sake.
Yeah, exactly. But for Jacob Chapman, it's good for his development, I guess, that he's getting consistent minutes, and hopefully 6 months of really good performances can lead into a really, really solid 2026. Oh my gosh, that is the year 2027 season.
Absolutely. One of those players probably just going to miss out on the plane, looking more towards the Asian Cup, right?
Definitely.
Goalkeeper, while we're talking about them, Paul Izzo over in Denmark at Randers. Player of the match performance. 0-0 draw to Brøndby. And Moussa Toure as well, while we're talking about Randers, played a half off the bench. And they're kind of looking for a Mo Toure replacement at the moment, aren't they?
They are. Paul Izzo quickly, solid game, what you expect from Paul Izzo, and will be Australia's number 2 at the World Cup.
Yeah.
Very simple. And I'm very interested to see what Paul Izzo does after this season. Because there is a way that he could say, hey, I want to push on and play higher level football. But at the same time, I think Denmark probably is his level, and he should stick there. And he's finally found a place, I think, that he will just play a good level of football consistently. So I actually want him to stay. Because goalkeepers in Australia seem to push themselves a bit too much sometimes, and leads to instability within the national setup. So it's good that Izzo, I think, has found a good level to stick at. On Moussa Toure, though, Rand is very much trying to find the Mo Toure replacement because they had one player play a half of football from Madagascar up top.
Wow.
Then they're like, well, let's replace him with the Australian. The Australian worked last time, and Moussa Toure played the second half. So a bit of an interesting one. Hopefully Moussa Toure can make that spot his own and follow in the footsteps of his older brother Mo.
I didn't realize that King Julian played football. So that's a Madagascar reference for anyone who's seen the 2000 and whatever it was animated film. I'm assuming you have.
Oh, yes, I do work with children, so I've probably seen it a few too many times.
There you go. I hear the Madagascan striker, he likes to move it.
That was grim.
It was bad. Let's turn our attention to someone who you kind of alluded to at the top of this episode, Noah Skoko, son of Josip Skoko. He's had a run of senior games in the top flight of Croatia for Hajduk Split, which is great. He is a dual national, as you can probably imagine, and he's played for the Croatian youth setup. But because his dad's a Soccerwho, you'd like to think that there's some affiliation to Australia and wanting to play for the Soccerwhos.
He's one of the dual nationals as well that seems to be just in that awkward situation where he's not quite good enough to play Croatian first team football, but he isn't getting quite the consistent minutes to get the Australian call-up as we want to lock you in. But he has enough potential that he is interested in playing for both.
Yeah.
So Noah Skoko, a young player stepping into his senior football. He plays as an attacking midfielder. That's his best role.
Yep.
And he got a few opportunities, one starting, a couple off the bench as well, where he didn't look out of place at senior level.
Okay, cool.
And for a young player, 20 years of age, who has played very, very good youth level football, it's probably time that he starts stepping through to senior football. And this is why this period of the season is some of my favourite football. Because you get to the end of January, midway through February, a lot of team seasons are kind of set,
Yeah.
right? They may not be in the championship places or the European places, but they're not in the relegation players. So they're like, okay, well, think about next year. Start to give youth a go.
Absolutely.
And for players like Noah Skoko, they're the beneficiaries of it. And they're definitely players to watch. Maybe not the players you'd usually watch heading into a World Cup, because he's not a World Cup player for Australia at this point, I don't think. Maybe an Asian Cup bolter, though.
Okay.
So definitely one to watch for the future, and one that could very quickly develop into an Australian Socceroos level player.
That's great to hear. Anthony Calick is also in the same side, managed to play in the same game off the bench at the same time. So nice little bit of Aussie connection there. And I think, as we previously said on this show, quite often is the case with dual nationals, especially if they've got European heritage and they're playing in Europe. They will tend to play junior football for the European nation to prevent having to travel back to Australia. And that is a good thing. It means that they're probably playing at a slightly higher level of youth football. Let's be honest, Australia isn't the highest within world football when it comes to our youth. And so for them to be playing at a higher level, we're still going to keep a track of them on this show. We still want to make sure that we're making sure that any future potential Socceroo is covered on this show.
Things change quickly in all of football.
Oh, absolutely. So he will be someone that we will continue to keep tabs on. And look, whether he'll make it to the Socceroos, I don't know. But hopefully he then plays really well and makes a move just like Suto has done over from Croatia to Scotland. He scored on debut for Hibernian. And in that same game, I don't know whether Martin Boyle listens to this podcast. If you do, mate, great to have you here. But Martin Boyle managed to play really well, got a goal, which, is not something that happens all that regularly for Boyle. It happens somewhat frequently, but not all that regularly. And so it was great to see Martin Boyle get on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, two quality wing players for the Hibernian outfit, playing out at Easter Road, which I love the name of.
Yeah,
It's just a fun stadium name.
It is.
But two options competing for the same spot, I think, in the Socceroos lineup. They both like to play on the right-hand side of attack. Suto is more of an inside player, while Boyle is more of an outside player. So they fulfill different needs, but they both played very, very well in this game, and I'm very interested to see how Suto develops in the Hibs squad, because he could quickly become a Socceroo.
Yep.
And we've said things move quickly in football. Suto could be one of those things that move very quickly. And he also does move quickly on the pitch. So
That's good.
two birds, one stone. And they're up against Sapsford as well, who didn't have the best of run-outs. Sapsford, though, is a young player, and that's to be expected.
Yeah, consistency at a young age is something that I guess develops as you get older, as you continue to improve. At least that's the case with plenty of Australians. Very rarely do we have Australians who are young and consistently playing well. Otherwise, you'd see them playing at the highest levels.
Well, you could argue as well that Maynard Brewer, he wanted to let Suto and Boyle had their fun.
Yeah, sure.
Fellow countrymen in a way.
He knows that he's probably not going to be that third choice on the plane. And so he's going, do you know what? I'm going to help two of my Aussie teammates get on that plane.
Yeah. Didn't do enough to help Ardale get a goal, though.
No, not quite enough.
But hey, plenty of Australians featuring in a game. So that's good fun to watch.
That is plenty fun to watch. Another young player, just kind of jumping around a little bit, but as far as young players go, who is playing well, Oscar Priestman is made the move over from, I guess, Western Sydney Wanderers, was at Sydney FC before that. He's been playing at Motherwell centre midfield, and he's established himself as a starter, which is great. Bit of a World Cup bolter, you reckon?
Yeah, definitely. We saw how good he was in the A-League. He moved over to Scotland. Some said a little bit too early. And he definitely struggled for minutes early on, right? So he moved over at the start of the year, and he didn't get really much game time at all. When he first moved over, he started, I think, he came off the bench at the first game. I just checked the stats myself.
There you go.
He has 3 bench appearances to start out the season, then was out of the lineup, then back in the lineup, all bench minutes. He got a lone start in a game in November against Hibs, where he played very, very well. and that was enough to earn another start against Falkirk, where he didn't play as well, and then was out for most of December. Then in January, injuries happen
Yep.
into the lineup, and was great against Celtic.
Okay.
And when you have a good game against Celtic, usually that gives you another opportunity. And it did against St. Mirren off the bench, where apparently his body wasn't quite ready. But they backed him against Hibs, where he was okay. But Hibs was a good team. They played him against Kilmarnock, played very, very well. Then he just played Livingston, where he played very, very well again. And if that form continues, where he's probably the best midfielder on the pitch, I think definitely these last 2 games. If he does that for a while, he could be in this midfield.
Okay.
Soccerwhos. Maybe not a starter.
Still
but,
early days, right?
Yeah, but he's definitely playing at a level that if he has 4 months in a row of good football where he's the best midfielder on a Scottish Premier League team, that's Soccerwhos call-up areas.
Yeah. I think, in all likelihood, probably won't be called up unless he's, contributing goals and assists, really, because it feels to me like we've got 4 or 5 locks in midfield. Maybe if there's a couple of injuries that we don't want to happen, then you're looking at Priestman as being an option. But for me, I don't know. He'd have to do a lot.
He offers some verticality to his passing, though, which is something I think our midfield is sorely missing.
Okay.
And I think he would be a welcome addition if he can improve his defensive contributions to a consistent level that would warrant his selection. And I think that's what the next month will tell.
Look, another midfielder who is maybe criticised for passing horizontally, not vertically enough, Jackson Irvine. He's back on the pitch, which is great. They're 2 points adrift from safety at the moment, which is, nervous if you're a St. Pally fan, if you're a Socceroos fan as well. But a massive victory and full 90 minutes for him in a result over Stuttgart.
First full 90 minutes this year.
Whoa.
Because he had that foot scare, remember? And it was a very big scare, and it proved to be okay because he's back, he's playing football, he's wearing a captain's armband, and it is a massive win for Pally as they get the 2-1 win over Stuttgart. And Stuttgart in and around the Champions League places, St. Pally in and around the relegation places. Now 3 points adrift from certain safety, 2 points adrift from goal difference safety.
Okay.
It's a tight table at the bottom, and Irvine will want a clean bill of health heading into the business end of the year to keep himself and his side in the Bundesliga, and also to develop that good form heading into the World Cup, because it's been a shaky start to the year for him in terms of injuries, and that March window will be crucial for Irvine and the Socceroos squad in general leading into the World Cup.
I'm just looking at the table now. It's a very tight table.
Yes.
St. Pally are on 17 points, and then they're in 17th position as well. In 10th position, you've got Colne, who are on 23 points. So that's only 2 wins away.
Yeah, and you're mid-table.
And you're mid-table, comfortably mid-table. So
a crucial 3 points, really.
yeah,
Stuttgart.
absolutely. So fingers crossed for Jackson Irvine. Some positive results are on the way. And I think him being back in the side, him playing 90 minutes, I don't think that's a coincidence that the side have gotten a result there.
Not at all. He is their leader, he is their captain, and he's a very industrious player that can lift the floor of your team. And he'll be needed for his St. Pally side and the Socceroos at the World Cup. So hopefully a clean bill of health.
Hey, speaking of captains, LA Ciccardi. He's been playing again, impressing for Parma in a 1-0 away win over Bologna. So a clean sheet, which is great. It was an interesting game. Both sides copped red cards, but Ciccardi playing well.
Yeah, playing very, very well. And this game, he played on the left side of the back 3. So
Ooh,
showing
okay.
his versatility, even though he is right-footed, he's very much a 2-footed player, can use both feet very, very well. And for Parma, that pushes them really into a very safe spot, 8 points away from the relegation zone. So still a little bit in danger. Of course, we had Ciccardi out for multiple games this year, which saw Parma's form dip, which isn't a coincidence, I will say. But he's back in the side and getting big results against Bologna, who are above them in the table, and they close the gap towards those mid-table spots. And I can't imagine a thing in European football, but maybe in 2027, that'll be the thought. Because for Ciccardi, the sky's the limit for him. He's got a lot of potential. And give us a few months. I reckon it'll be an interesting conversation about what is his future.
Okay, I like that. He seems to be our highest potential Soccerwho at this point in time.
That plays for the Socceroos, definitely.
Yeah. I'd like that you're alluding to maybe someone else there as well, but definitely who plays for the Socceroos.
Yeah.
Interesting that we just mentioned high potential because 4 years ago, this guy was considered one of the most high potential players. He got on the pitch against Argentina, had that moment that had he scored, there's theoretically Australia's knocking Argentina out of the World Cup. Realistically, I think it goes to extra time and Argentina probably get the job done. But there's always this could have happened moment. Garankawal, I think it's fair to say that he's dropped off, I guess, the general awareness of Australian football, soccer fans in the last couple of years. But he's been plying his trade over in Czech Republic and has been playing pretty well. He could be a World Cup bolter at this point in time, but unlikely at this point.
The reason I really like Grenkwall as a World Cup bolter is because of the role he plays.
For club specifically?
Yes, at club level. So he's obviously playing for Sparta in Czechia, and he's
Did I say Czech Republic?
You may have.
Is that a...
I'm not well versed enough to know enough.
I don't know about geopolitical... Maybe it is just Czechia. I have to Czechia that myself. Continue.
Maybe it's a bit of a Turkey situation.
Yeah, sure.
But on Grenkwall, he started playing some centre midfield minutes with Sparta, and he was playing decently there, and it lifted his defensive game, where now he's playing as almost this advanced 8/10. Very similar to the inside winger roles that Popovic plays like.
Sure.
Some may say almost exactly the same when you watch Sparta play and the system they like to roll out with. So in terms of stylistically, Grenkwall is playing very similar football in a very similar position that he would be playing for the Socceroos, and he's finding some decent success there as he builds back his confidence and his fitness, which took a massive hit over the last couple of years. And I think it would be a very interesting choice at a World Cup, and I think is definitely worth a look at in the March window if this form continues.
I don't hate it. He is someone who I've got a little bit of soft spot, I guess. I felt sad that he had this opportunity on the world stage, then struggled for injury, made the move overseas, struggled for injury, struggled for any sort of consistency, and now he's finding that consistency over in the Czech Republic or Czechia, which both referred to, according to our overlords, Google AI. But he's finding consistency, and that's exactly what Socceroos fans want to see. They want to see our youngsters fulfill their potential, and maybe it's taken a little bit of a hit. He's still young, though. He's 21 years of age. Still an opportunity for him to give the Socceroos, another 3 World Cups?
He's still at the age of many of these youth prospects I speak about that are just starting to play senior football.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, for Garankawal, I like what you're saying about how he fits stylistically into Popovic's system. And he's someone who I would love to see get given the opportunity to show what he can do for Popovic. Hey, there's 2 more youngsters I want to quickly mention before we go through some of these injuries that have been plaguing our Socceroos at this point in time. Youngsters that probably won't make this World Cup, probably won't even make this Asian Cup squad, but heading into the next World Cup, definitely one to keep an eye out for. You probably know both their names if you're familiar with Australian football. Marcus Neal is the first one. He's continuing to score at a youth level. He plays as a striker for Sunderland, and they just got a win, I should say, over Brighton's under-21 side as well. He's only 17 years of age, so still very, very young.
4 years younger than most of the players in that game.
That's crazy.
So,
son of Lucas Neal, if you're a long-term fan of the Socceroos, that's a name that you might recognize, or you should recognize, I should say. But yeah, son of Lucas Neal, playing really well, likes to joke that he has more career goals than his dad, who did play at centre-back. But great to see Marcus Neal doing really well in the youth setup.
And he could be crucial for Australia.
Yeah.
Because obviously striker was spoken about. It's a position that no one's really nailed down. Mo Toure is definitely leading the way right now, and Marcus Neal is making waves for a good youth development side in Sunderland, and he's definitely one to watch because at 17 years of age, he's playing against players a lot older than him, and he's scoring goals, and he's scoring goals regularly. So, when will that first senior appearance be? I'm not too sure. If Sunderland wrap up their season in terms of their final position a little bit earlier, definitely one to watch at the silly end of the season as getting a Premier League debut potentially. Disappointing, I will say. No Stephen Hall, nor Yunus Ibrahim for Brighton, who I've liked Ibrahim's development as well.
Okay.
As a bit of another one for the future. Maybe write that down on your Soccerwhos notepad of future player to think about in the next 7 years. Good young player, but not nearly as good, I would say, and I think no one would disagree in this, as a Tony Arena.
Yeah, absolutely. It's his birthday today, I believe, time of recording.
17 now?
So he's a big boy. He's an adult, essentially, in the football world.
Basically.
No, definitely not an adult, but probably on his red peas if he got his learners on time. I don't know what the learn to drive system is like over in Italy, but definitely
You don't know
doing
the
a Macca's
learn to
drive-through.
drive situation in every country is?
I don't actually.
Oh.
Maybe doing a Macca's run
Ooh.
today. But he got his first Serie A minutes as a present, which is great. His 6th youngest ever player in Serie A history.
Crazy.
Very crazy. Is that just for Roma, or is that the Serie A
Full stop.
wide? Okay, wow. That's
Yeah, put a full stop on that.
very impressive.
So he's a quality young player. I think we all know this. Based on the previous plaudits. I mean, he scored with his very first touch ever for Roma.
It was in a cup game.
It was in a cup game, which is why he got his first Serie A minutes. So good attentiveness there, Lachlan.
Thank you.
A young player, definitely one for the future. But, he's one of those players similar to the Volpato situation where if he plays a few more minutes and he gets maybe a few considerable minutes, you kind of throw it to him and say, hey, mate, yeah? Probably not, though. He probably won't say yes. But definitely an interesting one for the Asian Cup of if he starts playing some decent minutes, and I'm talking 20, 30 minutes off the bench every other game, he's definitely worth a shout for the Asian Cup and definitely one to watch. Will he say yes? That is the question. I don't think he will.
No, it feels like if you're playing consistently or semi-consistently off the bench at a Serie A club, especially a club like Roma, who are not towards the bottom of the table, you're holding out hope that you might be called up to Italy one day. Whereas maybe if you're in the Serie B, you're going, oh, actually, there's the opportunity to play for Australia to play at an Asian Cup.
It doesn't happen all the time, though, because we've seen that with James Overy, who hasn't quite cracked senior football yet, so he's a little bit behind in terms of that development side. But playing at a very reputable club, playing a good level in terms of his youth football, choose Australia over England. So there's definitely precedent for it, and one to watch in terms of the dual national list, which somehow keeps on growing.
Yeah, plenty of dual nationals. Are you playing much FM nowadays?
No.
Yeah, okay.
No, FM26, not a fan.
Righto. Maybe FM27 when that rolls around. That'll be fun to have a bit of a tweak and see who your dual nationals are.
There we go.
There you go. Look, that's going to be it for Around the Grounds for today, for this week. But there's plenty of injuries that I think it's actually worth almost making